What's up, you guys? We're back again with the Cherokee, and we're going to start fixing the alternator issue that we had. Today is Sunday, and yesterday, Saturday, we were over there at Gorman. If you've seen the previous video, I think when we're going through that water, that completely killed the alternator. We were already having issues with that alternator. The needle was already going up and down since we put the engine back together, and we just drove it like that for a while. And then yesterday we completely killed it. So we're gonna start off by removing the battery, so we can throw the battery on the charger. Meanwhile, we start pulling off the alternator. Okay, since we got all that muddy water on here, we're just gonna go ahead and clean the posts, battery thing. And we're gonna use our little Walmart battery charger. So this one charges 6 volts and 12 volts. We've been charging our AGM batteries with this charger, and it does pretty good. It's not fast, but it actually gets them fully charged. Once it starts flashing, there you go, we know it's charging. So we're gonna go ahead and clean this as well, the inside of this, while we're at it, since the battery is off. Shit. We're just gonna run this in there and get some of that off, whatever's in the post. So this Jeep actually has a skid plate down there, and we really don't want to remove it because it's a hassle to get underneath and remove it, and it's also super muddy down there. So we're gonna try to remove the alternator from up here, and I think we should be able to do it. I'm gonna go ahead and remove this. This is a 13mm nut right here. There's like 3 of them, and then this should come off the battery tray. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull that off. They were actually size 15, all 3 nuts. Then go ahead and pull this off, set it aside. We were looking for this the other day, couldn't find it. And now we have a little more access to the nuts and bolts. So there's 2 bolts that go through the alternator, and then we have to loosen up, I think, like 2 or 3 bolts that go to the timing chain cover and the power cable and all that, and then the loosen the tension for the serpentine belt. So I think we're gonna start by undoing the nut for the power for the alternator. It's that one right there. I don't know if you guys can see it. I think it's like a size 12. I'm gonna go ahead and remove it. We got it off, and it was a 10mm, not a 12. It's just this little cable right here. Kind of would like to upgrade it to something thicker, but probably won't do that right now. Okay, so now we have to go underneath. Okay, so we're under the Jeep, and there's a big ass oil leak. I think it's still coming from the distributor. Once we wash the Jeep, we'll go ahead and find that issue. But for now, we have to get to the 2 7mm nuts right there, and then there's 2 10mm on the side, and then this wire comes off the alternator. So that's what comes off. You can see that dangling right there. Now we could get to the tensioner on the serpentine belt to get the belt off of the alternator and start taking it off. So let's go back up to the top. Up here up top, we're gonna remove this electric fan to 8mm. so we could get to the bolt down there. Now with the electric fan out of the way, we're gonna loosen up. There's a 13mm nut right underneath the pulley. You can't really see it, but you can feel it. Let me see if I can show you guys. Right there. So you have to loosen that and then start turning that counterclockwise, and then you'll get the tension off of the belt. This one's pretty tight. Let me go ahead and do that, and then we'll slip the belt off of the alternator pulley. Actually, one more thing we forgot to mention is that you have to loosen these two 13mm back here. So if you're looking at the pump from the front, there's one here and there's another one on the bottom, or else you will not get the tension off of the serpentine belt. So just break them loose, and then that should let the pump move. Now we should be able to pull the belt off the alternator. It's kind of tight in here. I'm trying to slip it off with two hands. We started taking off the bolt from the bottom. This one goes exactly across from this bolt, so it comes all the way out. This one's a 15mm. This top one is a 15mm as well. These nuts right here, I think those are 14s. Let me see. You just gotta break these loose. You don't have to remove them. Okay, so once those two are loose, then it should be able to come out. Actually, the third one down there has to be loose as well. So we didn't have to loosen that third nut down there, just these two right here, to loosen up this bracket a little bit and get some wiggle room to pull the alternator out. So now let's see if we can get it out through here. Looks like a tight fit. If not, we will have to be removing that bracket. See, there's another bolt down here. Let me see if I could pull it up through here. I have to rotate it a couple of times. So I couldn't fit the alternator through this side. It was too tight, and this was in the way. So what we did is we pulled this up a little bit to give us enough clearance to pull the alternator through here, so we didn't even have to remove this in the first place. This is the alternator. So I'm gonna run to AutoZone real quick. We're gonna end up getting the value craft for now. It's like 150 plus $40 core or something like that. So we're back from AutoZone, and this is what we picked up. This is the Duralast. It was like 150. I don't think it has the part number on here, but I think it's just the regular 90 amp alternator or something like that. So it comes with all the bolts and stuff. We're just gonna make sure that everything is broken loose before we throw it on there. This one's ready to go. And we're gonna slide it in now, and hopefully we're able to set it in place without a problem. So I'm gonna have to use two hands, one to lift up the AC line, and another one to shove in the alternator. We were able to slide it in and put the top bolt and the bottom bolt in. So now we just gotta go ahead and tighten all the bolts and nuts, those two nuts over there and the two bolts, and then we'll plug everything back up. And it's starting to rain, so that's gonna probably slow us down a bit. Okay, so we got everything connected to the alternator. Everything is tight. Now we're gonna apply a little bit of anti-seize to these three studs, just because there's a little bit of rust showing, and we want to be able to remove the nuts if we ever have to get to this battery tray again without snapping them. So we're just gonna apply a little bit of this on the threads, and we're gonna install the battery tray back on. We got the battery hooked up. We didn't wait for it to get fully charged because we have to go wash it, but we're gonna turn it on and see if it's if the voltage is at least a little bit higher than it was yesterday. Okay, so now that we know that it's charging, we brought it to the car wash and we're going to wash the engine bay and rinse the car a bit because it's really dirty. So we're just gonna use some of the Diablo stuff from Chemical Guys, and hopefully we don't mess up this new alternator. So we're gonna try to stay away from the alternator and the ECU. Probably just get a little bit of water on it, but not much. Well, that's it for this video. Make sure to check us out on Instagram at Yonke_OXC Films. I'll leave that in the description down below, and we'll catch you on the next one.